I took a drive today. Time to emancipate. I guess it was the beatings made me wise. But I'm not about to give a thanks or apologize, 'cause I couldn't breathe, holding me down, hand on my face, pushed to the ground, and my teeth gauged, united by fear, forced to endure what I could not forgive. As it truly does take feeling the sting from deliberately and repeatedly being burned by these individuals' hatefulness and hurtfulness enough times that you get to the point where you literally cannot take the heat, and that there is no other alternative explanation or way to see it but then to see a kind of evil that you didn't even know exist until you were staring it square in the eyeballs, and one that now you will never forget. But you see, the worst part is that even after you recognize that what you have on your hands here is one of these evil little fuckers, and you know that they are not only the ones holding the blowtorch, deliberately burning you, but that they seem to be getting a cheap thrill every time they pull the trigger, causing you to do the fire dance. Yet still, you have no idea the full extent of damage that these burns have caused, or just how grossly impacted you are by their wicked and disturbing depiction of how they perceive being all godlike and think makes them some kind of spectacular, abracadabrically, delusionally fantastical, equating to what feels like being brain fucked by Satan and drug around the streets of hell by your ankle, on top of their lying their faces off and chronic diarrhea of the mouth, gaslighting you into now believing that it is all your fault that they had to go ahead and treat you like dirt. Meanwhile, convincing everyone else they are the victim of this story, along with taking your confidence, self-esteem, sense of worth, ability to trust your own judgment, or base any decisions off of logic and reason, and have chucked them into the garbage disposal so far back that you don't even remember what those things were any more than you do what's real, what's not, how the hell you even got in to this hot, unholy mess. And it's only after you have either surpassed the max capacity of one person's malicious BS that you can handle, or they discard you because they know that you know. Either way, giving you some distance from their deliberately crazy making your mind and wreaking havoc on your thoughts, that the brain fog can then start to dissipate, or in the words of Eddie Vedder, saw things clearer once you were in my rearview mirror. I gather speed from you fucking with me. Once and for all, I'm far away. I hardly believe. Finally, the shades are raised. Which this part of the song, for me, is what made it one of those songs that even after hearing 1,000 times can still cause the hairs on the back of your neck to rise, because of just how bloody dead on the money it is. And that now, after so long, you are finally able to see through their lies, manipulation, betrayal, and illusion that this truth is a truth so real that you literally almost can't believe it. After this lethal concoction of cluster fucked upness being jammed down your throat for years, even decades, you're supposed to just pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and hop right back out there, function normally alongside everyone else in society. Ain't no way. Because for one, it made it seem like every person that you have ever trusted or found to be a dependable, reliable anchor in your life was really out to get you, didn't like you, or was just using you. And well, let's not forget that trying to explain these demonic, bedazzled versions of Beetlejuice to anyone who hasn't had firsthand experience with someone who behaves similar to that of like when you get gremlins wet or feed them after midnight is sheer, utter madness in and of itself. And for two, even if it is just at the subconscious level, you do not ever want to be in a position or find yourself in a circumstance where you could potentially be duped into crossing over the threshold of the burning gates of hell by some demon dressed up in their likable, humble human getup, coupled with all of the misinformation, misunderstandings, and misconceptions about mental illness and these personality disorders amongst the general public that come from figures of influence, authority, and power who sugarcoat or undermine the severity of these disorders, creating new mental illnesses, changing the names, definitions, or rebranding them to appear as if they are something different, as well as create controversy and confusion that would then require more research and proceed with the same exact things to add to it, on top of creating the stigma that surrounds it. That includes why many people now cringe at the mere mention of the word narcissism, making it seem like there's only 1% to 2% of these individuals within the world, but fail to mention that each of these individuals negatively impact the lives of 10 others, which though is the understatement of the century as well. Most people on average will have a profound impact on way more than 10 individuals, let alone a narcissistic individual to whom are commonly known to lead double lives and have multiple sources of supply or relations at any given point. So to say that they only affect 10 other individuals throughout their entire lives is but a spit in the ocean. However, nonetheless, it still drastically increases the number of individuals impacted directly, to which the, though very underestimated amount is 2 billion. And these 2 billion people then having been so grossly impacted by these behaviors, it is unavoidable for it to not then seep out and affect how we as a society view relationships or how we think that others view relationships, and has over time completely taken something that we as humans desire more than anything else to now looking like something undesirable or unattainable, as well as skewed our understanding of what is a transactional relationship versus manipulation. Because, well, relationships forever have been transactional, based on principles of give and take, mutual benefit, and reciprocity, to which both parties are entering into this agreement or commitment with clear understanding of this exchange versus manipulation, where one person is exerting influence or control over the other in a way that what they are agreeing upon isn't transparent and usually is at the expense of the other. There is never going to be a transactional relationship with a narcissistic individual because they literally do not give a single fuck about anybody in their delusional world over yonder in Fantasyland. It is them and them, period. And that is not the same thing, being concerned about your self-safety or your own enjoyment, pleasure, or happiness. Because if we didn't think about ourselves ever, our survival and longevity of life would be pretty shitty. That and what we are talking about with these individuals are two entirely different things, because their problem isn't necessarily a disordered personality. Their issue is a lack of morals and a total disregard for others. And they had it more correct when Pritchard stated that these people are mentally ill in a moral sense, in that they know the difference between right and wrong. They just choose to do the wrong thing. without having any guilt or remorse for it. And no amount of kindness, compassion, or love in the world is going to fix that, because they never appreciated those things in the first place. And they don't want your help or even to consider themselves in needing it. But that doesn't mean that you can't save yourself and that you don't deserve what we as humans not only desire above all, but we need for our survival and our overall well-being. And that is to connect, to bond, and to interact with others. Because none of this was your fault. You didn't deserve this. You didn't ask for it, and they had no right whatsoever, regardless of who they were to you, to take that away from you. So do not give them the satisfaction of letting them destroy you for good, to which isn't easy, and it takes getting back your confidence and rebuilding your sense of self, being able to trust your own judgment, and doesn't necessarily mean it has to be romantic. Just any kind of interaction, whether it be reestablished with your family and friends that they've isolated you from, or making new friends. It's just the connection that is important, which Eddie Vedder is the prime example of, who found that being a part of this band and the connection and bonding that was developed not only tremendously helped his recovery, but what he accredits to saving his life from a time where he did not trust a single adult after what he endured as a child. That, in my personal opinion, is the worst thing that comes from these individuals. And that not only did he overcome his own adversities, but he has continuously and genuinely tried to give back to the community in efforts to help society and humanity as a whole, to which the world would be a better place if there were more like Eddie Vedders in it. And then it dawned on me the other day, there are, which could be each and every one of you. Because as he says, adversity is where our heroes come from. And nothing could be more true. It is from within our stories that give the best information, educate others. We may not ever be able to stop or prevent these individuals, but by understanding their tactics and by knowing what to look out for, we can protect ourselves, and we can once again feel safe to know that we have the wisdom to recognize evil when we're staring it in the eyeballs, hopefully long before they sink their venomous claws into one. And so once again, what we as humans desire above all else can become something that is desirable and is attainable, and not something that is standoffish and that we try to avoid and isolate ourselves out of fear from these ghosts that haunt us. Because you are worth so much more than that. And life is far too short. So fight for you. Take back that power. Let your truth be your light. Tell your story, even if it does spare or save just one other, then it's worth it. Focus on you. Fuck the narcissist.